Talking of no, they won't. Let's hope that's the answer to my next question. Floyd Mayweather is, pardon?
Hope they do.
No, he's reportedly close to agreeing a deal with Conor McGregor to stage. It says here in front of me, a sensational rematch. No one wants to see that. Let's speak to someone that's seen some great fights and some stupid ones, so he can tell us whether or not we are right or wrong. Gareth A Davies, of course, Fight Night presenter, joins us now. Gareth, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Andy. Good afternoon, Darren.
Morning, Gareth.
You don't want to see this, do you?
Not particularly, but it's still a very big fight. Obviously, the first fight in 2017, 5 years ago, was in the first top two richest fights in history, $600 million. It made. But it felt at the time like it was a novelty. A novelty act. But look. I've been reporting this now for the last couple of months. They are definitely talking about it. It will still make money for them, and probably more money than they will gain, or Conor McGregor will gain, for fighting in the UFC octagon again. He's had that terrible leg injury. Do we want to see it? Probably not. But will we watch it? Probably yes. Me and Darren will anyway.
100%. I'm definitely watching it. Why do you think now, Gareth? Because if I'm honest, I thought they spoke about this years ago, just after the first fight. Why is it now that they're both? Because I know Floyd as well.
Run out of money.
Them two guys can't run out of money, surely.
Well, it's a bit of a secret that, an open secret that Floyd Mayweather retires and then he fights again, then he retires and he fights again. I mean, he's beaten up little Japanese boxers for 10 million for a couple of minutes. He's beaten up his sparring partner in Saudi or the Middle East. He had a weird fight with Logan Paul, if you remember. And Conor McGregor, in the meantime, has gone 0-3 in the UFC and broken his leg, and probably isn't fully fit anymore to fight those kind of elite contenders that he was going through at one time. So, look, it's the era of that. I mean, I'll jump onto a slightly different subject. I mean, I reported it's on the front page of talkSPORT today that Tyson Fury is planning an exhibition bout with Hafthor Bjornsson, who once weighed 32 stone, better known as the Mountain in Game of Thrones, the world's strongest man. Two 6'9" giants, possibly doing an exhibition bout in a football stadium in November as well. So, there's all kinds of things going on in boxing. A week on Saturday, Jake Paul fights Hasim Rahman Jr. His father, of course, defeated Lennox Lewis and then was beaten himself. There's all kinds of these matches going on at the moment. And, it's not real sport. I want to declare myself a fulsome new fan of England women's football. I was absolutely blown away by it last night. I had to get that in today. Absolutely blown away. But look, the fight world is the Wild West. It's not like other sports.
Gareth, just another quick one. I mean, you touched on there about these exhibition fights. Do you think they're good for the sport, and do you like watching them, or do you just think they're a waste of time?
I just think they are. They exist. And therefore they exist, so we watch them. I mean, I think during lockdown or last year, I think Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., obviously both men well cooked past their best, was the biggest pay-per-view event of the year. I think 1.6 million pay-per-view buys it did. So there's always an appetite for rubbernecking. Does it damage the sport? Only momentarily. Because then you just get on to the big ones, obviously jumping again, trying to get all the news in for you. Sky Sports Box Office, or Sky Box Office, will show Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk, the sequel from Saudi Arabia, on August the 20th. I hope talkSPORT will be there as the team covering it. That's announced on Sky Box Office. That's huge. Will that draw Tyson Fury back if Anthony Joshua wins? We don't know, but I tell you what, there's some great things on that card that they've announced in the last 24 hours. Ramla Ali, the Somali British prospect, 6-0, is going to be the first woman to appear on an international card in Saudi Arabia. That's progress.
Wow.
That's good boxing progress. And there's a couple of other really good fights on the card. IBF heavyweight title eliminator between Flip Hergovich and Zhili Zhang. And Callum Smith's back in action at 175 pounds. Fighting for the European title, and an eliminator for the WBC title at light heavyweight held by Artur Beterbiev.
Gareth, if you don't mind, let me just quickly go back to the Mayweather-McGregor scenario. In the build-up to the first one, McGregor was giving it the old, like, I'll beat you, I can do this, I can do that. Then we saw the fight, and we obviously you know, if ever it was in doubt, it's not any longer. We know the gap between the two is absolutely gigantic, and Conor McGregor would have no chance whatsoever in beating him this time round. Less chance than he was when he was 5 years younger. I don't think anyone on the planet can argue with that. So my question is, it's a two-part question. One, in the press, in the build-up to it, what's his angle? Because he can't come out and say, I'll beat him, I'm better now. And also, two, when he loses this fight, will he retire?
Potentially, but maybe not, because there's other things for him to do out there, like a Jake Paul boxing match, the thing is, look, I was watching a clip earlier of that fight as the news was breaking, and we're getting nearer to them announcing it. You know, he hit Mayweather with an uppercut. I can't remember anyone hitting Mayweather.
Oh no, don't go there, Gareth. Come on,
no,
Gareth, don't be silly.
They're
mates. They're mates. Come on, that was never a real fight. Come on.
I'm talking about his narrative that he'll claim won the first 4 rounds and all those kind of things. Whereas we all know in boxing that it's the equivalent of an A-level student fighting a professor from Cambridge.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of a knowledge base of the subject. And you know, Mayweather carried the event brilliantly in the ring and obviously took over. And they're two different sports. And it's not a real competition.
No, okay. Gareth, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, not
Cheers,
just
Gareth.
for commenting on that, but just everything else in the boxing world. It's very kind. There's lots of big fights coming up that we're all excited about, apart from that one, sadly, from my perspective. But thank you for coming on, and I love speaking to you, Gareth.
It's always a pleasure, and obviously we'll get probably Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. announced later this week.
Hold on, later when? When do you think that'll be announced?
Either announced late this week, I'm hearing, or early next week.
Okay, but 100% that's going to happen in your mind?
In my mind, and according to my sources, 100% it's going to happen.
Wow.
Okay.
Gareth, you're a superstar. Thanks for coming on. Speak to you in a bit.
Pleasure, gents.
There you go. That's a fight. It was Gareth A
Who
Davies.
wins that? I think Eubank.
I don't.
Naturally bigger, isn't he?
I don't.
You think Conor Benn?
Yeah. What camp will you be in?
I was always Eubank. When it was his dad's,
I was Ben.
Yeah, I was always Eubank.
Can't wait for that. It's going to be great. You can have your say on all of the above simply by picking up the phone. We'd love to hear from you. We don't talk boxing that often, so if you want to talk boxing, pick up the phone 03717 22 33 44.